The Future of Retail Asia with June and Imran, powered by Aimazing.
Welcome to another episode of The Future of Retail Asia. My name is Imran.
And I'm Jun. Joining us today on the show, we have Helen Lam from Lendlease. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Helen. Helen has over 20 years of experience in Asia, Australia, in the property and development industry. And before joining Lendlease, she honed her craft in Australian companies such as the George Group and AMP Capital, managing a diverse portfolio of companies ranging from commercial, retail, and industrial properties. Currently with Lendlease, Helen has been with them for more than a decade and now is the global lead of urbanisation practice and head of innovation in Asia. Quite a handful to speak.
Giving away my age.
Yeah, where she oversees the development operations and innovation teams for Lendlease. Welcome again.
So I want to start by asking, right? So as you has been working in Australia for a long time before moving into the Asia, so how different in the retail industry between these two regions?
Well, firstly, I think there's, Asia on its own is very diverse. There's really no one Asia, but the differences coming from Australia to Asia I was just so surprised around the dynamics of retail in Asia. In Australia, operating hours are 9 to 5. People go home at 5 p.m. and extended hours are not very long. So, it's really still focused, around a lot of necessity. And obviously that's evolved over the last few years. In Asia, particularly Singapore where we're at, people love shopping malls. People love shopping. And shopping is not just a necessity, but it's a hanging out. It's where you meet people. It's where you bring your kids for dinner.
Yeah.
It's a way of life. It has air conditioning, and in Singapore it's very humid. So there's a lot there's a lot of value proposition in retail, and in the end of the day, it's a really people-centric sort of experience. And so for retail, it fundamentally changed the dynamics of what the role of retail is in Asia. The reality is we live in smaller homes. We don't have many backyards. So when it comes to retail, it becomes our extended living rooms. It becomes our extended places. And I think there's a great opportunity in Asia, and that differences is also creates a lot of needs and to be met. So it's definitely a different energy.
It's very cool. When we talk about the malls being a whole lifestyle destination, I think a big part of it is who are the merchants, the tenants inside, right? And I think one thing that's consistent in the last 10 episodes that we've run is that this mention of this dynamic, this tension between the mall landlord and the retailers, right? So especially I think with COVID and with issues such as rental subsidies, operating costs, closures. What's your experience or what's your take on this landlord-tenant relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say through COVID, a lot of businesses and the economies of the world right now, it's a lot of pressure, right? Tightening belts, businesses unfortunately have had to shut down. And when it comes to, it's not just landlord relationships or even malls, right? Businesses are shutting down. There's labor pressures, there's increasing costs. So I think when it comes to the evolution of the relationships between landlords and retailers, it has to change. Traditionally, the collaboration also needs to evolve as well, because generally, like you're having discussions around rent or rental renewals or contract negotiations, where I think the dynamics around alleviating the pressure is also understanding what are the opportunities from a landlord perspective to support, but also the retailers to support the landlord as well, because we all have costs. We all want to create a better community experience for our customers. The reality is there's a lot of pressure, but in working together, understanding where are the pain points, where are the opportunities, what our customer needs, and how do we address and elevate it, is where it needs to evolve to. So I would say a more, like a relationship where it's more fluid. We understand, we share information, we share data, we share risks, we work through agility and what it means to be resilient. And also, being flexible with spaces and how we look at attracting people to our places that we're creating as a partnership model is the way forward.
Yeah, certainly there is a win-win-win there. Yeah.
Of course, there needs to be a win-win, and it's not you win, I lose, or I win, you lose model, because in the end of the day, when businesses shut down, no one wins.
Yes.
And that's,
Yeah, I think bring up a very interesting point is like when we talk to a lot of different players in the region, they will be always bring this up. It's like in the near future, right? A lot of people believe in like when a retailer come into the mall, they are not just want to rent a space, right? Is that they're looking at more on like the value add service, like what kind of thing that the mall can provide, what kind of data analytics the mall can provide to the retailer. Like just now we mentioned about the data sharing. So create a win-win is like when the retailer share the data with the mall, and then what kind of insight the mall can share back with the retailer. So like what is your thought? What's your thinking about this?
So there's a few things there. So right now, traditionally, the roles are very clearly defined. The borders are there. So you've got our onus as landlords or operators is that we attract the foot traffic to the mall.
Yep.
However, the challenge for us is we can influence them to come through the mall, but we're not in charge of conversion. What they spend, what they decide to spend, the merchandising of the store, how the store operates, the service of the store, the products offered in the store, all that relies on the retailers, right? Yeah. So, and the border is very delineated. The walls are, here's a shop front. We bring the people here, but when it comes to the door of the line of the shop front, that gets handed over to the retailer. So when it comes to conversion and revenue and the ability for the retailers to make money, it's up to, like right now, we can't influence that. Now, we can support through like marketing, we can support through giving promotions and a lot of the tenant collaboration platforms, sort of stuff. But when it comes to conversion, it stops at the shop front. Now, I see these barriers slowly breaking down. The rental model right now is based on per square feet. But when it comes to our experience when we go into a mall, we want an immersive experience. You might want to go in and buy something for your child, but you might stop by a nice jacket store. Like, it doesn't have to be one need and then you go in and out, one need. So I think the walls and the barriers are going to be merging. And when it comes to accountabilities of what's your role in this, in terms of creating and enhance experiences, because the reality is if you create better experiences, better places, people spend more time and they'll also spend more money. So I just think that will be evolving over the next few years. And we as retailers and operators need to kind of work proactively to work through what that means.
So I think you touched on a very interesting point, right? Like this idea that if I am the property manager, my role is to bring in a good ecosystem, to bring in traffic into the ecosystem, and I can bring people to your door, right? And I think I don't know whether you see this as a vulnerability, but I think it does seem the case that there's a lot of pressure towards increasing variability in the rent. You might even have some of the very ambitious malls that I think we've seen in like China, where they say, hey, we're doing away with base rent. Let's go full on profit sharing, right? And so I think that it's kind of like knocking on that door of, hey, we bring people to your store, but now there's this idea that there is that, like you said, that delineation is not so clear anymore, right? And so how do you see about this evolution?
There are challenges there. There's some of the foot traffic in Asia is so high, but then if the retailer won't be able to sell the product or the visual merchandise or the experience or the service is not able to convert, then we're doing our role, so they have to do their role too. So I think it's just this whole partnership model and the risk sharing, the ability and the opportunity is 100% there. But working through those roles and responsibility, like we need to also be accountable for what those roles and responsibility are, in ensuring that we are in partnership, in a genuine and authentic partnership, that we're supporting each other. So I don't think we have all the answers yet, but it is changing. It needs to change because we want to make malls and places that we create still relevant. And the reality is, with the digital offering these days, physical will need to become or stay relevant and become better. It's got to evolve.
Yep. I think yeah, shopper experience. You always mention about the experience. I think we are very like the point that I feel very interesting will be like at e-commerce. We talk to a lot of e-commerce player. They always look at like when the people they track every single numbers, right? From the people going to the website where they go, and then what is the conversion rate for the checkout. So just like I mentioned, it's like the mall is able to bring the people on the door, but the retailer cannot convert, right? Like how we can make this entire thing like seamlessly. But
yeah. And I think like, and that's a challenge because when you talk about revenue, traditionally how you define that success is the performance within the store, right? Yeah. But these days, the whole omnichannel experience kind of blurs the line, right? Yeah. So you might go, so the mall has attracted a brand, the brand has given awareness to the consumer goes on the website, purchases something, but that benefit is not gone back to the mall, right? And if the inventory on the purchase online was in the mall and then someone pick it up in the mall, but they purchased it online, where does the delineation come? So, exactly. I think there's a whole portfolio approach when it comes to this. And the portfolio approach is when it comes to digital and physical, businesses need to look at it as a portfolio. So it's not just what I make in the store, what I make online, but it's the merging of the strategy around how I leverage and actually combine the omnichannel to the best of my advantage. The brand presence in the store, making sure the right experience and the customer experience is there, the service there, the hospitality there. I always believe that retail and a 5-star hotel should merge because retail hospitality should be what attracts your customers to keep going back, spend more money, having a nice smile, having an easy transaction, exploring, increasing the ticket pricing. And then when it comes to your online channel, making it easy if you don't want to carry it home or you don't want to wait, you can pick it up, or having the right inventory online so that it's seamless, having the checkout process, whether it's online or physical, whatever the customer wants and desires is seamless. And I think that portfolio approach needs to be really, really like on the A game of a lot of businesses. And then how do we support them to do that is also important.
I think this portfolio approach that you talk about is essentially looking at how do we innovate the whole business model, right? And in order for that to happen, like you said, there's certain things that have to happen on data, technology, what's being shared, what was being agreed upon. So maybe in your state as the head of innovation, right, is there anything that you're particularly looking at that you think would be changing the game without maybe giving any secret sauces away? I'm sure.
I think the critical thing is it's always when it comes to any business is how do you understand your customers' needs? When it comes to, if you go to my analogy about the 5-star hotel, right? Yeah. How people get a 5-star hotel rating is almost like you can anticipate your needs. Are you hungry? Do you need a cocktail? Do you need towels? Do you need a cot? Do you need anything, your needs? And so when it comes to retail, if you can understand your consumer and you can anticipate their needs and then you can provide that 5-star level of service in your products and your experience in your people and then also in your services. I think that's the secret sauce, right? So when it comes to, like what we're looking at is how do we understand our customer more and anticipate their needs? So if we understand our customer, who are the customers coming into mall? We know the demographic profile who's living around the mall, but are those the people we're servicing? Are we missing the gaps? And when it comes to profile, it's not just about profiling what your dynamics is, but how you're using our spaces, right? Mm-hmm. So you will probably go to the mall to bring your kids. You will probably go to the mall to meet your friends. I'm generalizing. And I would go to the mall to actually bring my kids to have an hour or two somewhere, like on the playground, while I buy some necessities. Right. So when it comes to understanding our needs, that data is what we're looking at. But at the same time we're missing that data connection with what is the actual spend when it comes to like, what are you buying? What am I buying? And when you meet your friends for a drink, what are you buying and where and how you're using it? So the relationship between how you're using the space, like where are you meeting the friends, where are you sitting, where are you spending the money, what type of things you're spending on, What are your needs around that? What are our needs around that? And then really working together to optimize that. Optimization when it comes to data and how you use it. Like, I think it's still a learning journey for our industry in retail. Not many people are maximizing the ability to make decisions and be agile to respond to consumer needs based on data yet.
Yeah. I think the other will be like when we talk to a lot of like player in the market, they always mention about like they can get the IoT sensor data, they can get the weather, traffic information around the shopping mall, but they call this is a last mile transaction data. It's a bigger challenge for them, right? So like what do you see, like what is the bigger challenge? Like why is it so hard for them all to getting the last mile data?
Yeah. I think the challenge in general with technology is there's segregation of data. So it's not integrated, right? So if I enter the mall and I have a profile and then, I enter in the mall and there's a data set, right? I go through my pause a transaction or I'm buying thing on the phone, there's another data set. The environment I am in, with the space, like how hot is it? How cold is it? When it comes to when I'm actually going into the mall and how I'm using space, there's different data sets. And right now, the systems are not integrated to make sense. And when there's so much data and you don't know what to do with the data or you can't read it because they're all segregated, it's very hard to make a really meaningful decision around what that data means to me. And that's a huge opportunity for retail right now.
I think that kind of marries this whole idea of, right now what e-commerce can track is every single customer buying exactly what from which brands in their marketplace, for example, right? I think if you can marry that together with the spatial 3D advantage that the mall has, and then really, I think like you say, right, there is this huge opportunity to look at how do we evolve data science within this practice to kind of like understand what's happening and then how do we optimize that. So what, maybe I can ask you, like, what do you think is like the ideal data scenario to you moving forward?
Ideal data scenario. So it always starts from way beyond the destination. Yeah. So when you're at home, you wake up in the morning, you have already needs, right? Yeah. And your needs are pretty much, a lot of them you can work out on your phone. What you've been Googling, what you've been searching, your photos. It's a bit scary. And there's a huge conversation around data privacy, right? Yeah. That is still a bit of a maze. There's a data about privacy. How much do we use the data to personalize experiences versus balancing privacy rights? And that's something we're looking at very seriously. Now, when it comes to the ideal scenario, there's an anticipation before you get to the mall or you get to the retail place, you already worked out what and where and how. Because it's easy. So you already, the omnichannel is, it might be you go to the website, you already know that it's that size and coloring is in stock. Or you might say there's variety of what you're looking for. Or it can pop up some suggestions and some personalization of things that you might need based on your profiling, right? And your searches. And then obviously when it comes to wayfinding and digital and all the basic fundamentals of retail, it should be seamless, right? You shouldn't get lost or you should know where you're going. You don't, the experience is not frustrating. It's convenient. You're providing a delightful experience, we say it when it comes to placemaking. Yeah. And when you get to the mall, that whole experience, that journey from the start of the mall to the actual retail store. So the whole exploratory stage, the whole inventory selection stage, it's almost a fusion of physical and digital. Yeah. So you go into a store and you can explore. There might not be the right colors, but right away, the store can already suggest that it's available on the website and you can buy it in the same transaction of some of the ones that you're buying physically and digitally. And it can say you want to actually pick it up in store tomorrow or you can actually deliver to your house tomorrow. Or you want to buy the orange shirt, in the store now, but you want a white one too, and the white one will be delivered to you tomorrow. And then so that digital physical, you don't have to stock every inventory in the store, but that experience gives you the option, flexibility, and it addresses your needs and the convenience of it. And then when it comes to that inventory all the way to the checkout, the options for you to be able to just Apple Pay it or pay it on your phone or tap it or pay now or a QR code, or actually don't even go to a checkout store, but you just pay it online
Just
and
walk out.
just walk out.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to talk to anyone, you can talk to one. If there are people there who can anticipate and help you if you need. So it's about customization, personalization, and that seamless experience between digital and physical. This is what, the opportunity is for retail to evolve in. And it's actually, the technology is available.
Yes.
Yes.
It's all there. You've got
Yes.
visualization, you've got AI, you've got all the platforms. It's how we use and integrate these platforms moving forward to create that, ideal scenario for you, so that you can take your 2 kids and spend more money, somewhere else.
Yes. So what I hear is kind of like it's predictive personalization at scale within a delightful
with
placemaking.
a very flexible, agile experience that optimizes your needs.
I think what I hear as well, just to add on, is this idea that the technology is there. What really needs to be done is the meeting of the minds and hearts. It seems.
Yeah, I think recently FairPrice did a very good job. So I always use the FairPrice app just for collect the points, scan the QR code, because the payment is actually, I need to link my credit card. So every time I was on the counter there already, and then I said, if you need to using the app to make payment, you need to link your credit card. So I think I tried yesterday. They are able the Apple Pay. So then I just link my Apple Pay already. So straight away I'm using the FairPrice app to make payment. Then guess what? It's like they send the e-receipt to my app. Then they show like what I bought inside the entire store, every single SKU. So in this case, they actually realized something is that I will only buy the drink from the online because I don't want to carry the drink from the retail store, right? So next time, if they have any drink, then they will just prompt me and say, hey, why not you just this item you buy online and this item you buy offline.
Yeah, you bought this last month, you don't restock now.
Yes.
Click. And you can have that transaction easily and still enjoy your time everywhere else without carrying 10 bottles of beer or whatever you buy.
Exactly.
and the funny, the ironic thing, the irony of all this is that really it's having a really customer focused lens in all this. Your pain point of putting your credit card for a transaction and linking the points, that's not pleasant. And when you just remove the pain point and you just focus on the customer, it's really just the opportunity of spending more and, is there. So it's a revenue opportunity when you actually focus on the customer experience.
Yep. So I think this is a good segue to essentially the end of the interview. This is the part where you give advice, right? So imagine you have a mall manager in front of you, a fellow mall manager, right? And then the other one is if you have a retailer in front of you, right? So 2 different parties, both asking what's going to happen moving forward, right? So what would be your one piece of advice to each of them?
Yeah. So the mall manager, the advice is that all the thoughts or gossip around brick and mortar would die. That's a lie. So the reality is, digital would never replace physical, right? Because when we go out together, we can't digitally go out together. Do you know what I mean? We can't, if I'm looking for a nice dress to go to an engagement party and I'm going to bring a friend along, that exhilaration of trying on the dress and it's a memorable moment, that can't be made by clicking on an online platform. So my advice will be, the actual experience and the opportunity for a mall manager or someone in a space where you can actually influence the experience, the customer journey, create delight when it comes to that experience and memorable, genuine places when it comes to what we are able to offer. That's the opportunity to do that and focus on that, real partnership approach with the retailers to do that, because, it's all about a holistic, integrated customer experience from the beginning of getting into the mall to, spending money, to enjoying the spaces, to leaving the mall. And that's a seamless experience. It needs to be focused around the customer journey.
Well said. And if you had then a merchant or a retail manager in front of you, what would be your one piece of advice then?
One piece of advice is, what I mentioned earlier is around the optimizing the digital and the physical experience. And you can call it omnichannel or you can call it physical or digital physical. But the reality is, if you actually make, that experience seamless, you can actually optimize the customer experience a lot. So when it comes to that portfolio approach, don't look at your business as this is how many people are going into my shop, but look at it as the opportunity of what my platforms are and really, really kill it when it comes to the digital platform and the physical platform. And the physical store is your brand, right? And you're never, ever, ever going to replace people touching and smelling and experiencing and tasting and trying in online. But then you can optimize that physical experience by using all the digital opportunities that is available. So that is my advice, to really do that and to kill on both sides, because that's the opportunity to create great places for us.
I see. I think you answered the question, but I still want to ask this question. Like, do you think the physical retail can still be king?
Of course. Yeah. But it can't be king without a beautiful digital queen right next to it. So that's definitely no. Honestly, I did answer it. Brick and mortar and physical will be more relevant now than ever. Why? Because people are desiring and craving interaction and social experience and memories and genuine moments, and you cannot have that digitally. The reality is you can't. But then you can't also ignore that this is incredible power of social media and digital experience and convenience that enables the physical experience to be enhanced. So that needs to be a beautiful marriage between the digital and the physical king and queen.
The king and queen. I love that. I think that's the first time someone has said that. I really love that. I really love that. So with that, I think we've sadly come to the end of the episode. So thanks again, Helen, for coming on to our podcast and sharing your insights. If you guys have any questions for Helen, please let us know in our socials. Have a comment on YouTube or LinkedIn. We'll be sure to forward it to Helen, and I'm sure she would be very happy to engage or answer your questions.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
It's been
fun. So once
fun.
again, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next episode.
Thank you. Thanks, Helen.
Thank you.
How will retail change post-pandemic? Download the Future of Retail white paper from our website, aimazing.co.